Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to present on behalf of the Mercer HR Consulting Company to establish and educate UWL about the human resource functions. So to start you off, I'm going to give you a brief overview and history of the human resource function. The term first emerged in the 1980s in the United States against a backdrop of increased pressure on firms because of globalization and technological developments. Academics from a number of disciplines began to consider people and how they are employed and managed in organizations from a new perspective, of course, understanding of people and their abilities in order to increase the productivity of a firm. It is very similar if we think about the employee to customer satisfaction, which basically states that products performing better than expectation generates loyal customers. The satisfaction of a customer is necessary for a successful organization, but the value for employee satisfaction is there to achieve the vision and mission, according to Banker 2000. So going onwards, the human resource management, as defined by Michael Armstrong, is a strategic, integrated and coherent approach to the employment, development and well-being of people working in organizations, with of course respect to a firm's productivity and goals. McGregor also pointed out that the backbone of a foundation of an organization is its core staff. Every organization should therefore have the right people in the right places at the right time to enhance success. So going onwards, I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about the main purpose, objectives of the human resources, which are the functions. So above a certain size, most organizations put in place a HR function. The basic objective of this function is to provide the advice and services that support organizations and their managers to get things done through people, drawing on theoretical underpinnings of HRM in strategic management and organizations' behavior. The goals HRM have been identified as to by Armstrong and Taylor in 2015. So, first point, support the organizations in achieving its objectives by developing and implementing HR strategies that are integrated with business strategies, which basically means it engenders an organizational efficacy by hiring efficient people, training them, and effectively employing the workers to develop the service that organizations provides to the society through structuring employee confidence. Going onwards, contributing to the development of high-performance culture and ensure that the organization has the talented, skilled, and engaged people it needs, which again basically means that the HR strategies, policies, and ideas for an individual improvement must be cohesive with an organization's strategic goals. It should gratify individuals' objectives of employees so that personnel and organizational objectives can be aligned, conducive to reaching maximum productivity and establishing a certain competitive edge. Going on to the next point, which is create a positive employment relationship between management and employees and a climate of mutual trust, which again basically can be defined as this includes refining the conditions for successful outcome by making appropriate decisions about the human resource planning, recruitment, evaluation, rewards, training and improvement, and staff associations that are reliable and sustain the business strategy. So our last point from Armstrong and Taylor is to encourage the application of an ethical approach to people management, which again basically means it must be responsibility of human resources management to ensure that legal, ethical, and social environmental issues are suitably dealt with. It must also try to enhance an organization's competitive advantage through social strategies by pitching in ethically to the necessities and challenges evolving in the society nowadays. So now my colleague Mark is going to talk to you a little bit more about recruitment and the selection process of HR.
Hello, my name is Mark and I will tell you about recruitment and selection. In the same way, the knowledge management has been described as a strategic resource related to competitiveness of the organization. Therefore, it's crucial to understand how the knowledge is managed during the one important human resource practice, recruitment and selection. The human resource management is an area that has undergone transformation over the time. Their initial concern was merely operational. However, with the globalization of markets, activities, and business, it was necessary to rethink the practice and activeness confined to the human resource management, according to Penny 2007. In this sense, the need to manage human resources has increasingly assumed a greater importance from being considered as a source of cost to be assumed as a source of the resource. We thus see the transition from operational vision to a strategic vision of human resource. Briefly about the recruitment selection. The main result was in research news in Gonzalez 2010 showed that recruiters have a positive perception of their activities. The online recruitment was identified as a source of excellence to attract candidates. Regarding to assessment techniques, the interview is the most frequent technique used during the recruitment and selection process. Therefore, the competence of the recruiter conducting these interviews is pointed as very important. The recruiters referred that all the process is focused in the soft skills, and they reported a large degree of confidence in the evaluation methods used. The motivation of the recruiters lies essentially in the scope of knowledge of their function and development opportunities. So recruitment and selection is a very complex process with several features, and all the information related to this process should be managed very carefully. About the recruitment. The prior to a recruitment selection process, it is the responsibility of the recruiters to define the main stage in which the process will take place, the main players, the methodologies and the techniques that will be involved, as well as the definition of the expected execution times. In this way, it is their responsibility within the client to decide on the most appropriate source of recruitment, as well as selection criteria that should be present. After screening, candidates are invited to start the evaluation that may include the administration of group and or psychometric tests along with interviews. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the recruiter to define and transmit the evaluation criteria configured for this test to his colleagues, as well as to make clear as the behavioral evidence assumed for each of the considered criteria. Dangerous traps in a way of recruitment selection. It is important to mention that during the recruitment selection process, it is necessary for the recruiter to be able to emphasize with the candidates so they can show their real skills through the process, according again, Gonzalez and Lewis 2010. However, the evaluation process is not error-free, and the recruiter should be aware of their existence. The main errors that can occur during the resource recruitment and selection process are, according to Cardoso 2010 and according to Leopold and Harris 2009. We will tell you only about a couple of it, only because we don't have enough time. So the first one, central tendency effect, and the errors that arise when there is a tendency to always evaluate in the middle. The recruiter chooses not to give very high or very low prices to the candidate. For example, assess the level of skills always at level 3 median on like our 5-position scale. Similarity, the next one, arises when the recruiter tends to assess the candidates in the function of the accordance level with them. For example, in fact that one of the candidates has an interest in a particular hobby may lead the recruiter to give him a positive evaluation by personally identifying himself with that interest. And the last one, fatigue error. This error occurs when the recruiter is overworked, leading him or her to forget certain evaluation criteria. For example, after a large number of daily interviews, the latter, in the absence of a predefined script, may not necessarily respond to all the information necessary for the decision process to take place. So, in conclusion, we can say that it is up to recruiter to decide which candidates will be presented to the client organization. Decision making is a very important process that aims to answer some patient questions, namely, according again, Cardoso and Leopold, Cardoso 2010 and Leopold and Harris 2009. So the first question, does the candidate fit the job? Does the candidate have the second? Does the candidate have the qualification and the skills to do it? Is the applicant motivated to do it? How can the candidate be integrated into the organization function working group? What is the overall evaluation of the candidate, and what is the position of this evaluation compared to other candidates? Thank you for your attention. I will give a word to my colleague.
Hello there, my name is Iscandar and I am going to talk to you about diversity in the workplace. So, what is diversity? And nowadays this is not just a moral issue. There is an actual business argument that can be made for hiring and promoting diversity in the workplace. Starting at the recruitment to mentoring, human resources has a main role in this strategy. And why do we actually need diversity? Nowadays, this is more just a whim or political stance. The workplace is becoming more and more globalized. With that in mind, diversity helps companies to gain a competitive advantage, and companies who embrace it actually succeed. So, HR promotes diversity. As a strategy, diversity gives companies an opportunity to start identifying new trends, and they can do this because their workforce is a representation of their customers. So, what is HR's role in promoting diversity? First, it monitors diversity. In most companies, it can be difficult to get a clear picture of what diversity is, like for that particular organization. To fight this, HR team should monitor diversity. This can be done through, for example, audits. The second one, widening the talent pool. So when it comes to diversity, HR should focus on building a diverse workplace through recruitment or development. Number 3 is mentoring and diversity. Like recruitment, mentoring can be internal or external. For example, some HR professionals work with schools or local youth groups. This helps fostering talent early and making sure that more diverse individuals are aware of the opportunities. Number 4, supplying diversity. HR teams should understand that it is vital to ensure the diversity of your supply chain. Furthermore, it should reflect your customer base, but also that there is a business argument for supply chain diversity. So what about diversity's future? It is clear that HR has a role in diversity. Companies should start, if they are not already, thinking about making these changes to recruitment, but they will have to implement them as soon as possible. However, as the workplace becomes more diverse, more questions arise, more issues arise. So HR personnel and recruitment professionals need to be aware of the various challenges associated with diversity so it can be prevented and addressed. For this reason, we have created a list of the biggest diversity issues in the workplace. Number 1, acceptance and respect. Number 2, accommodation of beliefs. Number 3, ethnic and cultural differences. Number 4, gender equality. Number 5, physical and mental disabilities. Number 6, generation gap. So to sum up, we know that the role of diversity in the workplace is huge, and it actually affects the trajectory of the company, and it determines whether the company succeeds at the end or fails.
Nice.
Very good. How long was it?